right, welcome back, goons. Welcome back to another episode of Jack of All Trades. I'm here with Kaylin and Sam as always. It's gonna be a short episode today because I've been MIA and I'm very unprepared, and it makes sense for me to be unprepared
Perfect for our
yeah,
50th episode.
exactly to commemorate our 50th. I'm unprepared.
Yeah. I mean, that really does sum up the last 50 episodes. So it's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah. But I did want to talk about this though, because like for the last month now, I've been kind of like saying this on my Instagram, and I just want to say it on the episode too. I'm like, I think there's gonna be a rug pull that's gonna happen this year. Like, I think the S&P is gonna go down for sure. The Fed's gonna raise interest rates, okay, but I disagree with the fact that the economy's hot. It's not, and I completely disagree with the fact that the money printing is causing the current inflation. Because I believe current inflation is just price gouging right now. And I think when reality meets the market, there's going to be a bit of a rug pull, and yeah, we'll hopefully capitalize on that. But I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Kaylin.
No, I mean, I honestly pretty much agree with everything you said, which doesn't really make for good conversation. But
Well, we can discuss this. I just saw this last night, and I thought it was interesting. Like it just supports our thesis, right? It's like so the December payrolls rate went up by just under 200,000, but they were expecting 450,000, so it's quite a bit of a miss. And not only that, but okay, so here's the thing that bothers me though. Unemployment rate is at 3.9%. That sounds great. But the way they calculate it makes this number useless. You have to self-identify as somebody looking for work in order to be counted as unemployed. So if you don't count, so if you just stop looking, then that number goes down. It doesn't mean people are
there's a lot of people that are, right? Like, there's so many people that just don't want to work these days. Like, I don't know if we talk here, but there's like a Reddit group called like, people against working or like something like that, where like basically, I guess there's like,
Work.
it's gone from like nothing to like, what is it? Yeah, you sent it to us.
It's called anti-work.
Yeah, it was like anti-work. Yeah, and it's got like what, like a couple million people in there now. Like Jesus, and like they're basically like just assuming that like they just don't need to work because it's like too hard to live in this world these days with how expensive everything is, and they just want like the government to pay for stuff. What? Like, this is why I can't find good employees anywhere.
I'll show it later, but that's a good segue to the organization I'm like donating in. I sent you the card, right? For
Yeah,
Kiva. Yeah. I don't know if you checked it out yet, but like,
Mhm.
but like, I wish there was a way to transport those people into these people's lives. And just you tell me you don't want to work. Because like if you don't work, you don't fucking get food. Like a lot of them
No.
probably don't even have shelter. They literally just got food.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. Like I don't understand. It's all like it's like mostly young people these days too, which is like I feel like an old, mostly young people. Half the people are my age that are doing this. I just honestly don't get it. Like
it's such a
what are
first
your
world.
what are your long-term plans? Like, what's the end goal, right? Like you're in your mid-20s and you don't want to work just because you don't want to, because like maybe you were in a lockdown and you got some government paychecks for a while and it felt nice not to work. But it's like what's the end goal? Like you sit at home for the next 80 years and coast on some welfare checks and get nowhere. Like what, like, and then you can't do anything with your life because you don't have enough money. Like what's the plan? Like what's the goal here? Like I have these conversations with people all the time where like they're like, oh, it's so expensive, because like especially here in Ontario, it's like it is like it's so expensive to afford a home. It's it's so expensive to do this. Like you can't do that. Gas prices are going through the roof now. Insurance is going through the roof. Like all this stuff is going on. And like in my head, I'm agreeing with everything they're saying. I agree that it's insane. I agree that things are expensive. I agree that it's really tough to like, actually get ahead here. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I just need to work like 7 days a week if I'm going to get ahead. Like that's where I live. I can't change what the prices of things are. So you have two options. You can either sit at home and complain and be miserable forever and get nowhere, or you can, suck it up, work your ass off, get ahead, and then let off the gas once you have all this cool shit that you wanted to have, But a lot of people just aren't willing to do that.
I have a theory. If we're talking about the younger, a little bit younger, like millennial and younger kind of generation, I have a like I
Mhm.
almost can't blame them because I feel like it's the parents and the teachers that have done it, but mostly the parents, where it's like they've raised a generation of kids where it's like whatever they want, they just bitch and moan and they get it. And then if they fail, it's like no problem,
Yeah.
we gave you a participation award. There, you didn't lose. You know how to lose.
Oh, fuck.
You can't
Participation
lose,
awards,
right?
Jesus.
They
I think
taught
I was like, I'm a millennial technically, so I think I was right on the edge of that because like I didn't have a phone until I was in grade 12. Like YouTube came out when I was in like high school. Like Facebook didn't exist until I was in high school. Like all these kind of like major social media things, and then like iPhones didn't come out until I was like well out of high school. Like all this stuff. So it's like you know I didn't have like I wasn't like engulfed in that whole social media era, right? Like it was up and coming when I was already like a teenager and getting ready to go to college and all this kind of stuff. So like I wasn't like raised on the stuff, and I think that was kind of like seems to be kind of like the pivotal moment because I meet people that are like 4 and 5 years younger than me, and like on the whole, it's just like it's a completely different mentality, which is really weird because like I meet people that are 5 years older than me, 10 years older than me, 15 years older than me, and we all kind of have the same mindset.
Can I ask how old are your parents or your dad roughly?
My dad's 66, I think. My mom's 62.
So I have a theory about the generation thing. I think they're measuring it incorrectly. I think the fourth turning did it better, where it's like it's not the cutoff shouldn't be a year. It should be cut off. The cutoff should be who your parents are. So if your parents
Mm,
were a boomer, then you're a fucking Gen Xer, right? If you're a Gen Xer, then your kids are millennials, and that's the problem. That's the connection,
yeah,
right?
yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah, because it's like whatever your parents grew up and whatever their values are, that's what they're going to instill onto their kids, right?
Right. So if you've got like, your parents were one of the, the younger boomers, and then so everything gets pushed forward. It doesn't matter. You're still the child of a boomer, and then that characterizes you in a certain way. That's different from millennials and whatnot, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could see that for sure.
Right. Because
Yeah,
I
but
thought
even like
about this.
even some of the younger parents though, like some people that are like teenagers now and stuff like that, they're still like I don't know, it's really hit and miss, right? Like it's totally dependent on the person. Like it's you can't just lump like a whole group of like everybody from
Yeah,
15 to 25 years old is this type
yeah,
of person, right? Like
yeah.
I know like my wife is she's in that age group and she's like one of the hardest working people I know, so it doesn't it doesn't
That's fair.
just paint across the board. But yeah, like I mean, for the most part, it's just completely different, which is it's just weird to me. Like I just like I'm always like you're the same. Like we're entrepreneurs and we're always just kind of like what's the next thing we can learn? Like I'm interested in this. Let's just
Yeah.
spend weeks researching about this. Like let's learn about that. Let's learn this new skill. Let's try this new thing. How can I make money? Like that's just what's going through our head all the time. That's why we lose sleep at night. That's why like to me it's so difficult to understand how we have people that can get a job and can get good paying jobs and they just say nah, I don't feel like it. I'm just gonna sit at home and get my parents to pay for stuff and I'll play video games. It's like don't you want like freedom? Like don't you want to be able to do stuff for yourself? Like I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
I think it's because we were taught that if you want something, you have to earn it. And then that generation has basically been trained from school by their parents and the teachers, like, if you just bitch, you get it. Or you don't even
Yeah,
bitch and you get it. Right?
yeah.
Look,
It's
like,
tough
look at
though too, right? Like how do you like if you're having a kid these days, like how do you even like balance that though? Because like the kids in grade I don't even know like maybe grade 4, grade 5. Like I don't know when did kids get iPhones? Like everybody in your class has iPhones and they're all on Facebook and Instagram in grade 2. I don't know. Then if you don't have that, then you're the outcast, right? But like if you do have that, then it kind of creates this whole class of people. So
you know, yeah, it's tricky. Like that, if I was a parent, I would give them an iPhone, like because I know what it's like as a kid to grow up without all the stuff everybody else has. So I wouldn't deprive my kid of that. Sorry, Tim.
no, I was
Tim.
just I was just
Oh,
nodding.
but I was like, but I'm like, but I don't think that's the only lesson, right? There's stuff like sports. You put your kids to sports and you teach them winning and losing, how to deal with it, picking yourself back up. Like these are fundamental skills that I don't think the younger generation have. Like they don't seem to have a competitive bone in their body, right?
Oh, yeah. that also kind of goes back to like the fourth turning, right? Like that book. I know we've talked about this a few times, and I just think it's so funny because like to me, like we're not going to get into talking about COVID or anything related to that, but like to me, the book laid out that like right now is when the world's going to go through its cataclysmic event, right? Anybody that hasn't read this book, read it because it's very it's all real stuff. It's all historical. It's all based on like the research over the last 500 years, how human cycles evolve in essentially like 20 to 30 year periods of types of individuals and how those people kind of develop the world and like what their general outlook is and stuff like that. So basically like what's happening now is, you and me, we're the ones at our age that we can basically attribute to like our grandparents in the war. I'm not saying COVID's the same as the war, so don't get all upset about that. But as far as like world events, that's where we're at right now. So like we're basically, like everybody talks about like, oh, our grandparents were always like, kind of like gruff, and they were the ones that started from square one. And then, the generation right behind them are the ones that were born in the chaos. They were the ones that are kind of like, the silent sort of like, suppressive, like nervous, anxious, on as a whole. Like that's kind of the type of person that is created out of that instance, right? So basically what we should see after this is a huge boom of industry and the economy. And, we're going to be the ones driving that in our age group because we're the ones that are essentially like historically, like you and I are the ones that they would call soft right now because we've had it so easy technically our whole lives. And then we're the ones that are, in our 20s and 30s and 40s that are living through the pandemic, living through the chaos. And then that hardens all of us. And then we come out on the other side of things, you get the big economic explosion again because we all start working hard. We get that drive back. We have all these people who don't want to work, basically, pulling themselves up and actually wanting to do this stuff again. And then you have the explosion of industry. That was like really quick snapshot of a 600-page book, but if it basically is what's happening right now, which I think is really interesting. Not the same events, and they haven't been historically either. Like, we look back, there was wars, there was, one of them was the Declaration of Independence. Like there was all these major pivotal moments in history that created some level of chaos. And every time over the next 80 to 100 years, the 20-year segments are always the same as far as industry growth, human evolution, and what comes out of society. So we're basically just doing something. We're in the middle of something now that's already been repeated 5 times over the last 500 years.
Well, I believe the thesis because it's quite simple. It's basically everything's an action and a reaction, right? Everything's basically a reaction to everything, right? So if you have a cataclysmic event, the reaction is to prepare and never let this event happen again. And so the generation that comes after, like fucking hardworking, they've got foresight, they've got anticipation, because they're like, we never want to deal with that shit again. And then as generations go on, they just get softer and softer because like, what are we preparing for? It's not going to happen, until you get to the pussy generation where it just explodes.
Which is us. We're the pussy generation. Sorry, we're getting hardened by all the lockdowns and everything.
The thing is, I'm trying to reconcile something though, because according to the book, that means the Gen Z are supposed to be the saviors of the new one. They're supposed to be like
what's their age group?
They would be like the teens right now, teens, early 20s. That'd be the early group.
Okay.
So they're the children of the millennials.
Yeah, that could kind of make sense because they're the ones en masse that are basically protesting not working and stuff. So,
which makes us
I think sorry.
And that makes us the mentors to them. Remember how there's always a relationship between a mentor and apprentice kind of thing? That makes us the mentors. Yeah, it's all playing out. Like it makes a lot of sense, and we're seeing a lot of the similarities. It's just like I just know like anytime you talk about this kind of stuff, everybody just gets upset because they're like, oh, you're comparing this to that, or it's not the same, or it was different times. That's not the point, right? It's like with anything, it's like you're missing that the underlying theme of the evolution of humans is the same, and that's kind of what we're trying to get at here is like different times, different people, different issues, different hardships, different improvements, different technology, but the underlying theme remains the same, and that's been the same over. If we look at the first time this happened or the first time that they recorded it 500 years ago, their technology,
their law system, their everything was completely different than it was during, you know, the First and Second World Wars, right? But the periods of time resulted in the same general outcome.
Yeah. It could be because it's the same reactions, right? You have a struggle. What's the reaction to a struggle? You don't ever want to struggle again. So you prepare and you get smarter and you adapt, right? But like,
Yeah.
so I think another reason why the younger people don't want to believe that today is because they're all a bunch of narcissists. I don't want to put them in a category like that, but it's almost undeniable, right? And if you're a narcissist, then you can think of, well, I'm unique. Don't lump me into anything. I'm unique. This has never happened before. I'm one of a kind of thing. Like, no, dude. If you spend even a half a minute studying history, it's like this has all happened before.
Yeah, on the whole, it's happened before. See, like for me, like the way that I always think about myself is like I guess I could be narcissistic in a way too, because like I'm unique. I know like the way that I think about it is like I'm almost like I'm trying to be the best version of me that I can. Like I want to be the best. And like so in my head, that's what I tell myself. Like, you know, when I'm in the gym working out, like I tell myself, like, you know, you gotta be the best. Like you're kick ass. Like, you know, everybody thinks you can't do it. Like you gotta lift this weight. Like you gotta do these things, right? Like that's kind of the self-talk that I do. And like same with like when it comes to trading and stuff like that and doing things outside of, you know, multiple work, like multiple jobs and things like that and businesses is, you know, I always just tell myself like, you know, like nobody's going to give you anything. Like it's all personal. It's all me. It's all like, you know, I have to be the best I can be. I am the best. Like I'm going to be the best. If I'm not right now, I will be eventually. Like it's all about chasing that. Like for me, it's about chasing that like individual accomplishment, individual growth in whatever my chosen fields are. So like, yes, I would say for that reason, I'm probably considered narcissistic, but it's not like a, you know, oh, look at me, I'm better than you kind of thing. It's like, it's more of just like a self-talk to make me want to improve, to be the best.
I think the fact that you're not comparing means that it's not a narcissistic kind of endeavor. It's more like kind of a motivational, self-motivational kind of thing. Like in narcissism, I think it's more like constantly trying to compare, see how you measure up against others kind of thing. Whereas if it's just
Okay,
yourself,
yeah.
it's like, you know what I mean? Like, and I have something
I think
similar.
that just comes with age.
Sorry?
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Oh no,
You go
you got
ahead.
your last. Okay. No, I was just gonna say like I have something similar. It's not where I'm not telling myself that I want to be the best, but I tell myself that I have this level of potential that I see in myself, and if I'm not reaching it, then I have to push myself. I'm always gunning to make sure I'm at the top, like the top 90% of where my potential is. Because when I find myself
Mhm.
not anywhere near the top of that level, I'm like I just feel like I'm wasting my life. I feel like I'm not giving my parents thanks. You know, I'm not being the best person I could be, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm the exact same way, man. Like I know we've had these conversations before, but like, you know, there's so many similarities between us in that sense. Like, you know, we're like it's just all about like being the best that you can be and like just trying to get everything you can out of every day. Like I literally genuinely get anxiety when I'm sitting on the couch watching like a cartoon because I feel like I need to be doing something. Like I need to be watching a documentary. Like I need to be
Yeah.
watching something that's teaching me something. And if I'm not, I need to be reading or I need to be on my computer working. Like I can't sit on the couch and just watch like mind numbing TV because I literally start to feel anxious because I'm like I am wasting time right now. I gotta be working. Like I gotta be doing something. And it drives me nuts. Like, you know, it's probably not that healthy if you talk you look at it like that. But I mean, I've also been able to accomplish a lot because of it. So for me, the challenge is going to be, you know, a few years down the road is going to be how do I let off the gas? Like how do I relax? How do I not, you know, try and push this hard every single day? That's going to be the tough part for me. It's like, you know, they say like, you know, it's tough to take a rest day from going to the gym. Someone's like, oh yeah,
Mm,
thank God I have a rest day, and I'm like,
yeah.
I have to like keep myself busy so that I don't go to the gym. You know, it's the same kind of thing. It's like how do you take that step back? Which is like that's just the way that my mentality has always been. So again, why it's really difficult for me to wrap my head around someone that doesn't want to work.
I could tell you what I've done because I was right there with you for most of my life. But like a few years ago I started to try something because I was realized I was kind of burning myself out. And I started to I guess part of
Mm.
my maturity is like I started to realize that I don't have to gun it 100% all the time. I realize it's cyclical, right? I realize like as long as I keep the cycle moving, then I'm not wasting time. It's like if I start letting off the gas, knowing that it's just that part of the cycle where I'm just going to relax, is the recouping phase, knowing that I'm going to continue gunning it later on, then I'm okay with it. So as long as I don't, get lazy and stay lazy, then I'm okay. Where it's like, okay, I'm going to have a week where I'm just going to like zone out. I'm not going to feel guilty about it. Knowing that when this day comes or that line is crossed, I'm gunning it again. Then that's how I deal with it.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea at all. Because like I find myself getting into those funks where I'm like I'm so burnt out and I'm so tired every day, but I won't work less than 16, 17 hours. Like I'll still
Yeah.
put in, a 16-hour day every day, even if I'm just like, I can barely keep my eyes open. I'm like delirious and I'm like, I can't have work to do. Like, but like I can't stop myself, right? Unless something forces me to stop.
You know what woke me up out of it was because I don't know if it can translate to this thing, but because mine's like kind of art-based job, I realized it was starting to get unproductive because the quality of my work would suffer. And like I would spend more
Yeah.
time doing less better work. So then I was like, this is not working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is like it's I think you kind of hit it on the head there when you were saying it's got to be something where it's like pre-planned, like okay, I'm going to take this week to like, just relax, watch some TV, and then once, Saturday rolls around, I'm going back to work full speed ahead.
Yeah. I think that's the next evolution, to know when to call it. Like I'm just gonna take a rest, and know when to snap yourself out of it, going, no, this is too much. I'm getting comfortable, and then like I need to get back to work. I think that's the next
Yeah,
evolution.
yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, what were we talking about before this? We got super sidetracked there.
Oh, unemployment. Unemployment.
It just turned into like a life story about, but it kind of ties in.
Exactly. It does tie in. I just wanted to say, like, the unemployment numbers are out. There's like 200,000 people that found jobs. The expected number was 450,000. So it fell short. So again, following our thesis, where I think the economy is not hot at all. And prior to this, the week
Mhm.
earlier, I think it was one of the major chains like Macy's or whatever. They came out and they said, "Oh, Bed and Bath." They said they were short like $100 million in revenue during the holidays. And I'm like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw that. I think I shorted
right.
them actually on one of those days.
I
I
love
remember
that.
that. I think it's yeah.
It's just
Yeah, I remember
funny where it's
that.
like,
I always get them
for
confused with BlackBerry for some reason.
really, okay.
Like,
Uh,
just like whenever I read the ticker, like BBBY, in my head, I always just think BlackBerry
no, I do too. Yeah, you're right.
because that's
I do
Bed Bath.
too. Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
don't know why. I always just think BlackBerry.
They didn't do that well either. But yeah, like every
Aren't they
time I
like
see it,
shutting down all their? I think BlackBerry's like shutting down their 3G and everything. They were saying that too.
wow, apparently they're gonna get into self-driving. And my buddy invested a ton of money into them. And I'm like, I don't know, man.
Hmm.
A little late to the party.
Yeah.
But but yeah, like
Whatever.
yeah, I want to say that real quick, and I want to shout out our NFT, which is perfect because I didn't even plan this, but it's our 50th episode. And I got this done last
Oh
week,
yeah.
January 3rd, which was so January 4th was our first episode ever. And me, Elliot, created this NFT on the Cardano network to kind of commemorate our thingamajig. So this is it. You can see it on the Ada Tools the Block Explorer, and so it exists. So this is our first mint. We put a bunch of metadata in here. So what I actually did was I created some AR artwork for because I'm so sick and tired of seeing those fucking pixel monkey shit. Like it's just as a piece of art, it's insulting, and then to make it into an NFT, it's just like times two. So I did something special for us where I made it. At least it's AR, and so if people wanted to see this, they could just go on Ada Tools and look up our NFT. I think you can use the hash number or any of the criteria. Jack of all trades mint 0.1. Or our ticker is JCKD jacked. and yeah, so it'll take you to this website, which is so this information is on the blockchain forever. And then it'll take you to the site, which will show our little AR thing that I made. This is on the computer, but if you're on the phone, just go to the top right hand corner, you click AR, And what it does is it uses the rear camera on your phone. You can place this thing anywhere in the real scene, and you can move around it and take a look at it too. So a little bit better, a little bit of an upgrade from those pixel monkeys.
Yeah. Ours is worthless, so.
And you say that now, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, maybe one day we'll be able to retire on the profits from this thing. Some billionaire will offer us $100 million for it.
You never know what time holds in store for. So, like, me and Elliot we're talking more deeply about this. We're thinking maybe we could all get some business in the future running with the NFTs, right? And then
Yeah.
one business idea I got was maybe I should say this offline. It's our business idea.
Yeah, don't say it on here.
Yeah.
we tell people how to make their own money. We don't tell people how to steal our ideas and make
True. True. But I will say this though. We minted 5 so far. There's gonna be 7 total. And we've got the block of 4 we're gonna keep for ourselves. And then the 3 that's remaining, we're gonna probably give to our subscribers, like, whoever's our 500th, or when we reach the 500th subscriber, we'll like do like a raffle or some shit. We have people write in and we'll send it to them. And then same thing for like, I don't know, 1,000, whatever it ends up being. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm down. Sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. It's like I guys fucking made one of these things.
You know what? The thing about me is when I'm quiet, I'm actually working on shit. So I didn't say anything about NFTs for a bit, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, we got one. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, man. All right, let's wrap it up there.
Cool.
Hang on,
All
David.
right,
Didn't
thanks.
you want to touch on Kiva?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so this thing, Jesus, I forgot
Okay.
how I found it. But Sam's on board, he loves it, and Kalen, he loves the idea, and I just thought it's a great idea to shout out. So Kiva is a kind of like a charity organization. The difference is that they provide backing for microloans to very needy people in need. So like you can see the categories: women, agriculture, South America, North America. I can just show you mine real quick. Where's all my loans? So I've given out 11 loans so far, and they're called loans, not donations. So essentially, you're loaning people money, but you're collecting 0% interest. And what they're doing is they're submitting their businesses for money. So most of my money went to these people that are going to these people are they're farmers from Nicaragua, Liberia, farming from Philippines. So they just want to buy like seeds for their crop. They just want to buy some manure, some food for their cows and whatnot. And it's like $25, right, that you give to them. And they're asking for like a few hundred at a time, maybe, right? And so what happens is this money gets pooled together. You donate to them, and then they'll pay you back throughout the rest of the year. And so I'll show you my portfolio real quick. So yeah, so 11 loans. So see where's my data. So yeah, so here's the locations that I've sent it in. These are the sectors: agriculture, food. But you could find any cause that matters to you. Now, what I find better than this, better than other organizations, is that if I'm giving to the Red Cross or something, I don't know if my donation is just paying for their ads, or I don't know if they're paying for their staplers. Whereas this, it's like I can literally pick the person and the cause that I want to donate to, and it's going to them. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Next thing we need is something like that for our taxes.
Oh, I know. Oh, here we go. So that's what I wanted to show. It was like my repayment schedule. So I handed out a bunch of money, I think in November or December. So the first crop of repayment should be coming back next month, which is like $62. And so like if this $62 comes back, or any amount of that money comes back, I'm redeploying it, sending it right back out. And so that's what I love about this. It's like you can take a little bit of money and help somebody, and they earn it, right? They earn it back, and they'll get returned the favor, and then you can take that money and help somebody else. And I just think that's really cool, right? It's not just purely giving, which I think teaches a bad lesson. Not necessarily to these people, but there's a lot of donations happening domestically, and it's teaching people a bad lesson. It's like if you just ask, you're going to get something, and you don't have to return anything, right?
Yeah, it's nice that it's 0% interest.
Well, it is and it isn't. So there's two components. There's a field partner, and then there's us. We're basically the backers, the bank. The field partner will require an interest payment from them, because they're basically the ones distributing the money. They're keeping track of of the loans, they're keeping tabs on the borrowers, right? So they're offering a real service.
Mhm.
So they'll get a percentage, but if you look at their ROI, it's usually like 1% to 4%. They're making pennies too, right? It's just like everybody's basically a charity here. So nothing's for free, unfortunately.
No, if it was, it'd be nice, but then it would also be a socialist country, and that would just be a disaster too.
You know, I think some people would love for us to be a socialist country, even though they have no idea what that means,
No.
what that entails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right, it's been a good episode.
See, that was pretty good for not having any preparation whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not gonna wing it again. Though. It just makes me feel so uncomfortable. But it was all right.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next week.
Later.